a voice that demands peace now and everywhere, a voice that advocates a renewed multilateralism and a rules-based international order. My friends, 10 months ago, we held our council in Madrid, the capital of Spain. Looking back to those days, we saw 2024 as a decisive year for the world. In 70 countries around the world, over 3.4 billion people were called to the polls, nearly half of the planet's population. Now it is time to take stock of where we are and where humanity is headed. I want to do this based on two main realities. The first is the advance of the far right in almost every corner of the planet. This was a reality a year ago, but it has accelerated. In its advance, the far right is often using technology to spread lies with disinformation and anti-politics. These are their weapons. We've seen it in Romania, where I want to reiterate our support for Prime Minister Ciolacu. They argue that democracy is inefficient and that human rights and gender equality are obstacles. They defend with lies and idealized past in order to hide their main weakness, the fact that they lack any plans or any project for the future of their societies. Looking to the future through the lens of the past is equivalent to losing the present. That is the risk humanity is facing with the rise of the far right. In our last meeting in Ankara, we highlighted the importance of connecting global issues with national and regional policies to counter these far right forces. This conversation will continue through our working group on political strategy and our network of local and regional authority representatives. The second point I would like to highlight, my dear comrades, even more concerning, is that the traditional and more moderate right has finally given in, buying into the discourse of hatred and backward looking. Unfortunately, they have ended up normalizing what until not so long ago was unacceptable. Now, not only do they accept the premise and principles of the far right, they do something even worse. They embrace and copy such discourses with slight changes to make them more acceptable to the public. This is, I believe, even more harmful, given their greater reach and penetration among the general public. They are driven by fear. They want to protect their voter base at any cost, even at the expense of renouncing their own principles. But they also act this way by self-interest. They believe they can moderate and tame the most reactionary populism, as if they hadn't learned from history that some discourses cannot be tamed or whitewashed. The only thing to do is to reject them and bury them in the past from which they should never have returned. So, for instance, in my country, in Spain, it is often said that people always prefer the original over the copy. That is why I know that this complacent right-wing strategy is doomed to fail. And that is the main message that I want to convey, that we must stand. We must stand, my dear comrades. Where others hesitate, we socialists stand firm in defense of democracy. Where others witness unacceptable discourses, we denounce them head-on. Where others turn their backs on achievements led by multilateral organizations, we champion them with more determination. We act this way not only guided by our principles, but because someone must uphold the banner of democracy, peace, and human rights, especially now, when others let them fall. Today, more than ever, my dear friends, the Socialist International must stand firm in this position, because if we don't, no one else will. It is not a time for retreats or weakness. It is our turn to stand up and offer hope and alternatives from progressive thought. It is our turn to defend the value of science and reason in the face of climate denialism. It is our turn to defend the values of ideas in a world where elites reject democracy with a purpose to grow anti-politics. And by the way, why they choose anti-politics? Because it is a shortcut in the real agenda, a reactionary agenda to weaken social justice and dismantle the welfare state, an agenda to distract people and stop talking about fiscal justice and ending tax havens, an agenda to promote growth at the expense of our planet and future generations. And I will tell you something. They are lying. They are lying. Better jobs can be created while protecting labor rights and advancing social protection. Growth can be achieved while reducing both emissions and inequalities. Why I do know it? Because that is the model we have been implementing in Spain over the past 7 years. And it works. Go and ask the economists or other reference of liberal thinking. Among all advanced economies, the Spanish economy will grow the most this year, 4 times more than the average of the Eurozone. We have reduced inequality to its lower level in 2 decades, and in 2023, Spain has created more jobs than Germany and France combined. So therefore, there is an alternative. No matter how much it hurts them, there is an alternative. And that alternative is called social democracy. The model we have defended and will continue to do so, adapting it to the needs of our times. But even if we know it works, we must not make the mistake of clinging to unchanging values. Nor should we react with fear, but with ambition to new challenges, such as the one represented by digitalization. It is in our DNA to anticipate change and embrace it, ensuring its benefits everyone. Our history is one of reading social changes from closeness and adapting our ideology to the spirit of each time. It is about not just accepting the world we live in, but changing it from government. With victories at the polls, like those achieved by our friends in Ghana, Congo, or the recent elections of the first woman to preside over Namibia in its history.